Well, part of being an actor on television is doing all the peripheral things like game shows. So I did lots and lots of game shows. And a man who is now one of the dearest people in my life, Bob Stewart, was the producer of many of those game shows. And we got to know each other just over the years of working together so much. And he produced the 80s Woman. And he just called me and said, "Want to do this?" And I said, "Oh, this would be just a dream come true to interview people." So we did it for 2 years, and I got to experience that.
And now
it was all women's issues.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it was. I interviewed, like, I don't know, 200 some women, on women's issues. We pretty much exhausted the topic.
Would you have considered yourself a feminist before the show, and did
absolutely.
you during?
Oh, yes. Oh, no, I was a big feminist, yes. I went to the big convention in 1976 in Dallas, or Houston, wherever it was. It was in Houston.
For the Equal Rights Amendment?
This was just after the time of the Equal Rights Amendment, I think, or maybe it was at the time. Anyway, yeah, I raised money for the Equal Rights Amendment. I went to rallies. I got people to cheer. And, it was an interesting time, and I was very fervent about those issues. Well, once someone asked a famous, a famous English author, woman whose name I can't remember, who's not Tolstoy, but she's a good writer, how she felt about her place in the whole scheme of things, and she said, I feel that there's this lake, and all these little tributaries feed into the lake of literature, and like Tolstoy is a torrent, a flood, and that she's one of the tributaries. And so in terms of the 80s Woman, it was one of the things at that time that got information out for, a certain numbers of millions of people watched it over time. So it did its part, let me put it that way.
Do you remember particular issues that you were that show was among the first or most prominent to tackle that you really helped shed some light on?
I don't think that it was not. I think everything was out there at that time. The big issue, of course, was Roe v. Wade and the people who, pro-choice and pro-life, and so we had to have both sides on the show. And
had to by network standards, or had to by your own thoughts
we
about
had
it?
to, yeah.
Okay.
And no, would I have chose to? No, I wouldn't have, because it was so confrontational, and it was not a comfortable interview with the pro-life people, although they do certainly have a point. I mean, I'm not saying they don't. I happen to be pro-choice, but I think that was maybe the most difficult issue. But a lot of them were women who have done something. It was presenting women who had started businesses, and it was kind of a role model. I think that's probably where we made our greatest contribution.